The Road to Hell. Welcome to The Big Puzzle. In this podcast, we explore the subtle connections between science, religion, politics, economics, and history. One piece at a time, we unveil the big picture of this shared experience that we call life. It's paved with good intentions. So let's talk a little about intentions. What does intention mean? So, well, the word, it's intent, right? And intent means purpose, that you're doing something because you want to, because you thought of it. What is the opposite? Well, it's by accident or by chance. So, why is the road to hell paved with good intentions? So let's talk a little about that. There's something that I usually like to call the second order, right? But it's usually called unintended consequences or unintended effects. When we are trying to do something, but we end up having a different result, or other results that were not considered, in the original plan. How does that work? Why is it important? And how can we become victims if we're not careful to identify the unintended consequences? So, first, let's talk a little about the little people, about children. One of the problems with children is that they can't think beyond what they have immediately in front of them. Right? If a child is hungry, if a baby is hungry, well, they will start crying. They don't care that you're in a funeral. They don't understand anything. They don't care about absolutely anything. They just perceive that need and they will react, to that need. So they don't see the unintended consequences of their actions. When can we say that a child becomes a youngster? Is when they start developing empathy. Empathy is the first sign that you can see, the effects of what you're doing on other people. So that's a very important step. And, it's when you can start interacting with society, when you can start reasoning with children and explaining them why they should or shouldn't do things. This is when basically they become responsible. But even when we're adults, we keep having that attractions towards the hedonistic, right? Or let's say hedonism. So get immediate reward for what we want. And we don't think about the usually long-term consequences or other unintended consequences. We see that happening also with people that only tackle problems very superficially. Let's put an example that we see every day. So all the green movement, right? So on the surface, we all agree that we should take care of this planet. We only have one planet. We have to figure out how to use it the best way possible, not to damage it for future generations. We all agree with that, right? So where is the disagreement? The disagreement is in the second order. So don't do stupid things to try to accomplish that. And by stupid things, I'm thinking about everything that we're doing. Well, pretty much everything that we're doing. Electric cars. Electric cars that basically, use electricity that was generated with very dirty sources. Or all the lithium that has to be extracted using this huge machinery in mines that, yeah, they're not electric and they will never be. And the wind farms and all the the energy and the materials that have to be used that cannot be recycled. So yeah, that defeats the whole purpose of taking care of the planet. It's actually making things worse. But not only that, we have to realize that those efforts will only work if everybody does them. Because if there's somebody on your next door country is not doing any of that, well, then all your efforts are useless. So you're just wasting energy and you're degrading your own economy, and well, you'll be dominated eventually, militarily, economically, by a country who doesn't care about green movement at all. So we need to be able to consider these second order effects, the unintended consequences of what we do. And one way I think about that is, the chess players. I was never very good at chess, but I learned that the best chess players are the ones who can see 3, 4, 5 moves in the future, right? What is the why don't you see 100 moves in? Well, because all the potential moves are growing to ridiculously large numbers, so you can't really consider all of them. But with enough practice and a ton of intuition, they can prune all those potential future moves to the ones that are likely to happen and which ones would benefit them, right? And they're both players are doing the same thing. So yeah, whoever does it better ends up winning, right? So we should all be in our lives a little more chess players. When we decide to do something, we should really think about, okay, what could happen? That phrase, what could possibly be wrong? Yeah, sometimes it's said, but it's not tackled. You should really think about all the things that could go wrong and make sure that you could live with those. We see also this idea of unintended consequences in the economy. There was this economist, I think he was British, when the British were good economists, and I think it was Charles Goodhart, and he expressed something that he observed that is very, very true, that we now call the Goodhart law, that says when a measure becomes a target, it stops being useful as a measure. Right? So let's say that we want to reduce inflation as a country, right? So that's our target. Well, there's many ways in which you can accomplish that, and most of them will have unintended consequences. And if you are being rewarded by the amount of inflation that you reduce, well, you can do some very nasty stuff that will reduce inflation. It will reward you, but it will basically destroy the economy. And that happens even in companies, right? So every reward system can be gamed and will be gamed. So if somebody says, okay, we need to reduce the the stock of whatever we sell. Well, yeah, you just stop replenishing it. Right? You're going to be rewarded by that, but then when you need it, you won't have it. So it's very difficult to come up with a useful reward system in which you don't tell the metric that you're going to be using. And for me, I mean, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think that the way, well, let's keep that for another conversation. But I hope you see what I'm saying, right? So every time that you set up a reward system or incentive system, it stops being useful because it can be gamed, and then you're just trying to create another one that has, it's gamed again. So that's kind of the problem when we don't see the unintended consequences. If you still don't see it, let's talk about sports. So I don't know much about football, American football, but I think I know enough that I can explain this correctly, and forgive me if I don't. But let's say that we have a new coach that spent a lot of time in the industry, in the business. He was a CEO of a big company before becoming a football coach. And he was extremely successful, so we expect him to bring all that knowledge into the team. So the first thing that this person says is, okay, how do we win games? If we want to win championships, we need to win games. Well, we win games by scoring touchdowns. Right? So, okay, let's focus on that metric. Let's make sure that we score a lot of touchdowns. So the first thing that you would do is you would say, okay, what is our average now? So where is our baseline? And after a few calculations, you say, well, we score as a team 2.3 touchdowns per game. Okay, let's set now a challenging goal. Let's take it to 3. Our goal is to score 3 touchdowns in each game. So everybody has to think about ideas how to get to more touchdowns. And you can't say, well, I will try to be better. I will try to... No, you have to explain how much of that your individual goal is going to contribute to the ultimate goal that we all agree is to score a touchdown. What will happen when we do that? Well, for instance, they could say, you know what? If somebody doesn't score a touchdown in the whole season, he's out of the team. Whoever scores the most number of touchdowns, he's going to get a huge bonus and a promotion. Right? So, if you think about it, that seems like a good idea. Everybody will have, either fear or love as an incentive to increase the number of touchdowns. So in the first game, when they started defending, so when the other team was, throwing the ball, everybody started running to the ball. No matter what position, they will just run to the ball. Whatever the ball is, everybody, the 11 players will run to the ball. And if they pass the ball, they will run to the because everybody wants to score a touchdown. And the only way to do that is to get the ball. Well, that probably doesn't work that well, right? But then you get the opportunity to go to the offensive. And, well, what happens then? Well, the quarterback receives the ball, it's not, and everybody, the other 10, just run to the line. And they start, hey, give us the ball. All of them are really wanting to be there to cross the line with the ball. So, and the quarterback, obviously, he's going to just run with it. He won't run very far because his whole offensive line is gone to to the goal line. But yeah, obviously, that wouldn't work. But you know what? It was surprising is that at the end of the season, they ended up having 3.2 touchdowns per game, right? So it was successful. They achieved, and they even went over the goal that they did set up. The only problem is that they had 27 touchdowns per game against them on average. So that's, I think it's an interesting story that I think it's how to illustrate how bad could be when we don't understand the unintended consequences of potentially, good intentions. Because intentions were good. Everybody wanted to, win the championship. So now they don't know if they have to celebrate or they have to, have a crying party for being the last in the whole championship. Well, you get the idea. Now we've been talking a lot about good intentions. But unfortunately, not everybody is good. And not good people have not good intentions. So this is a very interesting thing when you think, for instance, about politicians. Most politicians get really good at hiding their real intentions behind good intentions. Right? So again, they kind of will tell you what you want to hear. They will give you that hedonistic, lure. But obviously, they can't deliver, right? And we sometimes call them campaign promises or whatever, get them what they want. Basically, power, money, whatever they want, right? But by hiding their true intentions with good intentions, and those good intentions can mask. And also they could say, oh, I never thought that would happen. Yeah, I really wanted to lower taxes, but yeah, that meant that we lost whole industries or whatever, right? They can always find a way to say, well, it was unintended consequences of what we were doing. But truth is that their intention was never that first one. So we need to be more of chess players and try to read beyond. Right? With politicians, it should really be easy because most of the time we know them and we know their track record. So in a certain way, we allow ourselves to be deceived because we're also selfish and we want to believe that what they're saying that they're going to give us, they are going to give it to us, and they won't. And probably, the ultimate one piece of the big puzzle that shows over and over again, unfortunately, is socialism. Socialism is just that, right? I don't think that anybody that promotes socialism, if they are intelligent enough, they have good intentions. I could believe that people who are not very smart and they cannot think beyond what is in front of their eyes, they might believe that socialism is a good idea. Because the unintended consequences of socialism are extremely obvious. And we've seen them over and over and over again. So, I don't want to end on that sad note, but if I could give you a homework, would be to think about what happened in your day, right? And think about what you wanted to happen and what things happened that you didn't want to happen. And is there anything that you could have done differently? Like, can you learn something from those consequences, you know, that you experience, those unintended consequences? So next time you will, you know, face the same challenges a little differently. So okay, that will be it for this one. If I want to achieve my goal of 52 videos in less than 1 year, well, that year finishes tomorrow. That is October 11th is when I published my first video in this channel. So I will have to record another one. So after this one, you probably will see another one. But I don't know. I hope that topic is completely different, but still connected with through the big puzzle. So that will be it. See you in the next one. Bye.